The war had raged for 17 years before Oliver Chun stepped onto the crystalline floors of the Valorian flagship. He wasn't a general, wasn't a diplomat with decades of experience. He was a junior communications officer who happened to speak passable Valorian and had the misfortune of being single when High Command needed a sacrificial pawn. The treaty was simple, a symbolic marriage between a human and Princess Everoth of the Valorian Empire. No actual binding ceremonies, no legal entanglements. Just enough pomp and circumstance to satisfy both governments and end a conflict that had claimed billions of lives across a dozen star systems. Oliver had signed the papers without reading them. What difference did it make? It was all political theater anyway. Princess Everoth, or Eva, as she insisted he call her, was nothing like the propaganda hollas, where humanity expected a warrior. Queen with scales and fangs, they found a being of luminescent beauty. Her skin shimmered with bioluminescent patterns that shifted with her emotions. Her eyes held the depth of nebulas, and her presence commanded attention without aggression. She was tall, nearly 7 feet, but moved with a grace that made Oliver's human awkwardness painfully obvious. The ceremony lasted 4 hours. Oliver recited words he didn't understand, placed a crystalline band on Ava's finger, and kissed her hand as cameras from 1,000 worlds recorded the moment. The war ended at 1437 Galactic Standard Time. He thought that would be the end of it. 3 days later, Ava appeared at his quarters on Earth's orbital station with 17 pieces of luggage and a smile that made Oliver's stomach drop. "Husband," she said in perfect English, her accent melodious and utterly unbothered by human phonetics. "I have come to reside with you, as is traditional." "Traditional?" Oliver stammered. This was supposed to be fake, symbolic. Your command said many things. Eva interrupted, gliding past him into his cramped quarters. She looked around the space barely large enough for one person, with what he could only describe as amusement, none of which were specified in the treaty documents. In Valorian law, marriage is marriage. There is no fake qualifier. Oliver spent the next week trying to undo the situation. He filed complaints, consulted lawyers, even attempted to reach his superiors. Every door closed in his face. The war was over. Humanity had bigger problems than one junior officer's marital complications. Besides, as one particularly unsympathetic admiral pointed out, divorcing an alien princess might restart the war, John. Learn to live with it. Living with Eva proved more complicated than ending an interstellar war. She didn't understand human concepts of personal space. She would materialize behind him while he worked, her bioluminescent patterns pulsing with curiosity as she watched him type reports. She asked endless questions about human culture, dissecting everything from coffee consumption to why humans felt the need to wear clothes indoors when temperature regulation was perfectly adequate. "Your species is fascinating," she told him. One evening, her eyes literally glowing as she studied him over dinner. "You're simultaneously fragile and resilient. You lack our natural armor, our enhanced healing, our telepathic bonds. Yet you conquered faster than light travel through pure mathematical stubbornness. You survived where stronger species failed." Oliver pushed food around his plate. "Is that why you're really here? To study humans?" Ava's patterns shifted to something he'd learned meant sadness. "I am here because I chose to be. The treaty required marriage. It did not require me to honor it. But I watched you during the ceremony, Oliver Chun. You were terrified, yet you stood straight. You hated every moment, yet you smiled for the cameras because you understood what was at stake. You are not a soldier, yet you went to war in your own way. I'm just a communications officer who got unlucky." "No," Eva said softly. "You are a man who ended a war by sacrificing his freedom. That is the most human thing imaginable. It is why I find your species so remarkable, and why I will not let you go." The words hung in the air between them, Oliver looked up, meeting those nebula-deep eyes, and for the first time saw past the alien princess to the person beneath. Someone who had also been used as a political pawn. Someone who had chosen to make the best of an impossible situation. Someone who was, despite everything, choosing him. "I'm not remarkable," Oliver said quietly. "I'm just ordinary." Ava's patterns shifted to warm gold as she reached across the table. Her hand, though larger than his, was surprisingly gentle. Perhaps that is what makes humans most extraordinary. You believe you are ordinary, and yet you do impossible things anyway. You claim weakness, then demonstrate incredible strength. You deny your worth, then prove it through action. Oliver stared at their joined hands, human and Valorian, flesh and light. So what happens now? Now? Ava's smile was radiant, her bioluminescence dancing across their quarters like captured starlight. Now we continue being married. We learn about each other. We bridge the gap between our peoples, not through treaties and ceremonies, but through something more powerful, choice. And if I want to leave? Ava's grip loosened, giving him freedom to withdraw, but her eyes held his with unwavering honesty. Then I will let you go, though it would pain me. But I do not believe you will, because underneath your protests and complaints, Oliver Chun, I see the same thing you see in me. Someone who is tired of being alone in the universe. Oliver didn't pull his hand away. Instead, he squeezed back, and Ava's patterns exploded into brilliant colors he'd never seen before. The war was over. But Oliver Chun's greatest adventure, one no treaty could define and no command could control, was just beginning. And maybe, just maybe, that wasn't such a terrible fate after all. For the first time since this began, Oliver smiled without cameras watching. And Ava, ancient and alien and impossibly patient, smiled back. Humanity had survived another war. Oliver Chun was learning to survive something far more terrifying: happiness.